and welcome to a Poppies TV exclusive interview with the new manager of Kettering Town Football Club. Sort of. Popular YouTuber Kevin Chapman has taken it upon himself to try and get the Poppies from non-league to legend in the YouTube series of the same name, which follows his journey across the new Football Manager 2021 video game. Let's have a look at why he chose Kettering Town.
Number one is a very simple one, and rule number one is who you manage. And the rule is you manage the team in the lowest playable league closest to where you live. And obviously I'm moving house between recording this video and starting the save. Thankfully, the team that meets those criteria for me is the same in both houses. So for me this year, I'm going to be managing Kettering, who are the lowest playable league in the country that I'm in is the National League North and South. And the lowest and the closest team to my house from that league that I've never managed before on YouTube is Kettering.
So Kevin, first of all, welcome to Kettering Town. How are you finding the experience so far?
It's been a lot of fun so far. It's unusual circumstances for getting involved in a new club with everything that's going on at the moment, obviously. But it's normally I would have met the players by now, but you know, I'm doing it all remotely. It's fine. We're all good.
What sort of managerial style can the players expect from you? Are you a disciplinarian? Are you a hand-on-the-shoulder type of manager? What are the players expecting from you?
As long as they don't expect to see me anywhere near the training ground, we're good. I'm very much a suit in an office kind of guy. From there, as long as they don't get on the wrong side of me, we'll be all good. I like to think of myself as a bit of a master tactician motivator. But realistically, I'm just an image of a guy trying to keep every plate spinning, and then they're not spinning for very long. We're kind of making it up as we go along usually, but it usually works.
That's the main thing. Obviously, fans can't be in the ground at the moment, but obviously watching on streams and things and on Poppies TV. What sort of football are the fans going to be able to look forward to from you? Are you going to be playing fast-flowing, attacking football, or maybe a more conservative, defensive style of football?
I mean, defence, I don't really know the meaning of defence. So if it was possible to pick a team without a defence, I would do it, but it's usually frowned upon. So they can expect high pace, high pressing, very attacking football. We'll theoretically have a back four, but it's very much a back four with two very attacking wing-backs. A sweeper keeper and two centre backs who are going to have to get used to each other's company because they're not going to have many of their mates around very often to help them out. So very much attack. I've been known to get the odd 6-6 draw on occasion. So there'll certainly be plenty of goals to be seen. That's for sure.
Well, that's what we all like to see. Goals pay the rent, it was said. For fans who may just be joining you then on your journey across the non-league to legend series, what past experiences have you got that you can bring to Kettering? I know you've had a career with Kings Lynn, which was a very similar level. How did you find that? Is there anything you can bring into this series? Yeah,
I mean, this is actually the 6th year that we've done non-league to legend. So I always start with a different club each year. So over the last 5 years, we've started with Boston, Gainsborough, Alfreton, St Albans, Kings Lynn, and now Kettering. So I've got lots of experience down in the National League North and South, and fingers crossed, touch wood, all that kind of stuff. Every series so far has ultimately ended with a Champions League win. So no pressure or anything doing it for the 6th year in a row, but that's kind of got to be the goal. Now, whether or not that's with Kettering is another matter entirely, because I have been known to be swayed by a big pile of cash from another club if such an offer comes up. So I think what we're looking for here at Kettering is success quick, because if it starts to take a little bit too long to get the kind of progress that we're looking for, you often get those League 2, League 1 clubs starting to sniff around, looking to take a gamble on somebody who's not doing terribly. So we're looking for early success, build from there, and certainly take Kettering as far as we can take them. And who knows, this might be the year where I stick at the same club all the way through to the end and end up with a Champions League. But like I say, don't hold your breath on that one.
A warning for the players then: perform quickly, and we'll keep the manager. If not, then you might be jumping ship. What made you first want to take on these challenges and stream yourself doing them? I mean, I play Football Manager as well, and it's not the easiest or most stress-free hobby. So what made you think that this was going to be a really good thing to start doing?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of fell into it by accident. I've been playing it for like 25 years. It's ever since Championship Manager 2 back in the mid 90s. I've pretty much played it every year, fell in love with it straight away. When I was a kid, I'm a Peterborough fan, so as a kid, I would always manage Peterborough, and because we had a really good youth setup at the time, and just win the Champions League with them, and add myself into the game, and be teammates with the likes of Matthew Everington and Simon Davis and some of the stars that we had coming for our youth team at the time. And it's just something that's never really left me. And it was about just over 5 years ago that my other half said to me, "Why don't you try doing this on YouTube? Because you play it a lot. There might as well be some point to it. You just sit and play in this game all the time." And my instant response was, nobody's going to want to watch someone play Football Manager on the internet. It's not a very interesting game to sit and watch somebody play. But then I went onto YouTube and had a look to see what was out there, and I realized there were a few people doing it, and I thought, I could do this. So I watched a few of the videos. I could do this. I could do this as well as they're doing it. Let's give it a go. And that was October 2015. I got started with the first series, started the Non-League to Legend series with Boston shortly after, and it's kind of just snowballed from there. I've uploaded pretty much every day during that 5-year period, and it's, for the last 3 years, it's been my full-time job making Football Manager videos. It's a crazy thing, but I've somehow managed to luck into being able to do my favorite hobby all day, every day, and get paid for doing it, it's mad when you think about it. And I was just very lucky to be in the right place at the right time, just as it was all kicking off. It's very much one of those right place, right time things, because I think if I was looking to get into it now, it's a very different landscape now. There's a lot of competition, whereas back when I was getting started, there was probably a small handful of people doing it, and it was relatively easy to build up a decent sized audience straight away, because as I've learned over the last 5 years, there is a massive demand for it. People love this game. They're obsessed with this game. There's so many people who this is the only game they play. They don't consider themselves gamers, but they'll play Football Manager because it's Football Manager. You've got to play Football Manager every year. And we've kind of tapped into that and having a lot of fun with it, and it's leading to crazy opportunities, like the fact that the actual club I'm managing in the game are now interviewing me. I've been and done. I went and did a team when I was managing Nuneaton a few years ago. They invited me down to take training and do a team talk. I did the same thing at Kings Lynn last year. I actually went along to Kings Lynn a couple of weeks after the series started, by which point I'd sold almost all the players, and I walked into the changing room at Kings Lynn and just resounding boos from everyone apart from the one young lad who was there on loan from Norwich, who I'd kept and made my captain, and we had to take him outside and do an interview with just him, because the rest of them were like, "Why did you sell me?" And it's just mad, the opportunities it's led to just do really mad stuff that is a lot of fun.
I mean, your subscriber list has just grown and grown since starting this. I mean, and rightly so as well. I mean, are you still surprised at the amount of people who seemingly are just desperate, not just to play the game, but to see the kind of content that you're putting out, to watch someone else play the game that they have spent hours playing themselves?
I think I've probably gone past the point now where I'm surprised by it, because I've seen just how big the interest in it can be. And I've kind of almost switched around the other way, and I look at other games, the likes of FIFA, and I mean, FIFA is the most obvious comparison because it's another football game, and I look at the kind of subscriber numbers and viewer numbers that some of those guys get, and I mean, there's people who are genuine millionaires off the back of just playing FIFA on the internet, and I look across at them and think, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, and maybe because every year the numbers increase, and it's like we must be reaching the limit now of people who are going to be interested in this, because as far as most people are concerned, it's still a really niche thing. It's not this huge mainstream thing, but I think that's what we've kind of got confused about as content creators, because although as YouTube content and streaming content, it might still be quite niche. As a game, it's one of the biggest selling video games every year in the UK. It's consistently like a top 3 most played thing on PC. It is a huge, massive thing, and I don't know how many people who enjoy playing the game transfer over to people who would enjoy watching it, but every year when the new game comes out, we're right in the middle of the launch for FM21 at the moment, and every year when the new launch happens, I get surprised all over again because I break the records that I set the year before, and we've done it again this year. There was the 2-week period when the game released. What day are we now? Earlier this week. So across Tuesday and Wednesday this week, I hit 200,000 views over a 48-hour period for the first time, which to me, that's ridiculous. 200,000 people watching me play Football Manager over a 2-day period is nuts. And it kind of smashed the record that I set last year. So the sky's the limit. I don't know. I don't know where it tops out. I'm still assuming it tops out somewhere. But at the moment, every year it gets bigger, and it seems to be happening exponentially as well. Because we've pretty much doubled what we were doing this time last year, which is, again, insane.
Well, you've got a whole new fan base in the Kettering Town fans now as well that will hopefully, after seeing this, start...
I mean, I've got to learn to say it the right way, though, haven't I? I've just heard you say it there. As an outsider, I'm still very much saying Kettering, and it's come up in the comments already. It's not Kettering, but that's how it's spelled. Yeah, and I've had so many people send me the links to the James Acaster stuff, and it's like, okay, I do get it, but I'm nearly 40, and I've always said Kettering. I grew up in Peter. I'm only down the road. I'm aware of Kettering as a place, and training myself to say it Kettering. That's gonna be a tricky one, but I don't think I win the fans over until I do.
Exactly, there we are. Now we've established the reasons why you chose Kettering Town, and it's to do with locality. I know you've moved recently a little bit further away from the area, but I mean, do you regularly take in non-league football wherever you are? Do you go along to the odd game? And obviously not at the moment where we can't have fans. But
I didn't until I started doing this. I kind of fell into non-league football being my niche because of the success of the first version of Non-League to Legend with Boston years ago. I'm one of those quite rare breed, I think, who doesn't necessarily consider himself a football fan. It's more so I'm a Peterborough fan. So I've been a Peterborough season ticket holder for most of my life, and seen hundreds, if not thousands, of posh games. But I don't watch football on the TV, and I don't really take in much else. But since doing this and working with non-league clubs and getting invited along to do stuff with them and watch matches, I have been taking it a little bit more. I've been down to St Albans, to Nuneaton, to Kings Lynn, and it's without any exception so far, the non-league clubs are so much friendlier and so much more accessible than the clubs in the Football League or beyond. I mean, don't even try getting a reply from a press guy at a Premier League club. But it definitely is a further up that footballing pyramid you go, the less likely they are to even reply to an email, let alone play along and do silly stuff like this with me. I mean, a couple of years ago, I got myself into the ridiculous situation where I lived exactly the same distance from both Nuneaton and Alfreton to the nearest 100 yards. It was on Google Maps, they were exactly the same. And I put a tweet out there about it. And within 12 hours, the two clubs were fighting over me on Twitter. Alfreton put a press release on their club website trying to convince their fans to persuade me to come along. Nuneaton invited me down to the club to have an interview with the chairman. I've got a contract from Nuneaton somewhere. It's nuts how much non-league football clubs are willing to play along. And this is another example of it. The fact that, I mean, we started this on Tuesday, and I think you reached out to me on Tuesday evening and said, come on, let's have an interview. Yeah, let's have an interview. But I guarantee, I mean, I've been managing Leicester for the last couple of weeks as well, and I've not had a sniff out of Leicester. So, it's non-league football's brilliant.
There are often crossovers, as you've mentioned there, between sort of the AI world and the real world. And another one actually is in your non-league to Legend series, Decary Sheriff scoring a penalty in the opening game of the FA Cup. He did that for us in real life as well. Have you ever thought about putting certain skills to the test and coaching in the real world?
I get asked that a lot, and I just don't think I'm cut out for it. I think it's a very different skill set, playing a video game to actually coaching in real life. I think it would be a massive insult to anyone who actually is a coach at any level for me to say, yeah, I could go and do some coaching. Because I really can't. I haven't played a competitive game of football in 20 years. And even then, I mean, we're not talking like he's an ex-pro. I made a substitute appearance for Blackstones like 20 years ago were a tiny little. They're the second biggest club in Stamford. That's where we're at with Blackstones, you know. I came on as a substitute once, and I don't even really know how football training works, how coaching works. What I can do is mess around with the numbers and play a computer game and spin that into a story, and that's where my skills are, taking what at its core is quite a dry. I mean, it's often referred to as a spreadsheet simulator by people who don't get it, by people who don't understand the passion of it. But my skill set is in taking what is at its essence a bunch of numbers and turning that into a story where I've got this crowd of people who fall in love with the players and the team. I had a club that we just created ourselves, just an invented football club, that now has nearly 4,000 Twitter followers. It has its own replica shirts that fans buy with their favourite players from the Football Manager series names on the back. We've sold like 300 of those shirts over the last year or so, to the point where there's a genuine demand for, when are we starting this for real? You've got more this football club that doesn't exist has got more Twitter followers than a lot of non-league clubs. You've got the replica shirts, you've got the sponsors. When are we doing it for real? And that's where I hit a brick wall, and I'm like, well, first I need to find someone who can, you know, actually run a football club, because I can't. I can do the promotion and the social media buzz all day long. I don't have the first idea how to actually run a football club or manage a football club or coach players or pick a team. If we did it for real, it would be an absolute disaster. So one day I'll get a team around me who can help me do it. But yeah, I think the idea of me actually getting involved in coaching is unlikely to ever happen. Like I said, I'm very much the sit in the office wearing a suit kind of manager, rather than I've not owned a pair of football boots this century, so I don't think I'm going to be doing any coaching anytime soon.
In which case, we'll stay in the simulated world then. What do you find more challenging in Football Manager? Is it managing a bigger team like you have in, like you said, Leicester in other YouTube series, or is it managing a team in Kettering's position? Because each will have their individual pressures. You'll have the pressure to succeed at a bigger team, but obviously the level of football is going to be a lot different at a team in Kettering's position.
Yeah, I think they both have their pluses and minuses. It's why I try and do a variety of different kinds of save each year, because they all work a little bit differently and you have to manage them in a different way. For example, with the Leicester save, when I went into that, the first thing I did was went out and spent £100 million and plugged every gap that I felt there was in that team straight away. And we went and won the Europa League first season. It's like, yeah, this is easy. I can throw money at it. I can put them into the right places, and as long as you get that little bit of luck, you'll probably be okay. The downside is, of course, if you're spending £100 million and you don't go and qualify for the Champions League or win the Europa League or whatever it might be, you're probably getting sacked. Whereas if you're working with a smaller club, you obviously don't have the resources to go out and do that. I mean, I've done my first set of transfers in the Kettering series now, and it was a handful of free transfers and a few loans. And the free transfers were largely teenagers who'd been released from Football League clubs, and the odd journeyman who's signing for his 11th club in 4 years or whatever it might be. You get the odd loan here and there. But the board have said, as long as we don't get relegated from the National League North this year, you're good. You're good. And I think I can probably manage that. So it's... you can certainly build something a little bit more long term, really build a club in your image and work your way up slowly. But you've got to be ready for the fact that it is going to be a slower process. It's going to take a lot longer. Every now and again, probably about once every Football Manager game cycle, I'll do a one club save with a really small club. I did it with Nuneaton a few years ago, which I've mentioned a couple of times, where we started with Nuneaton in the National League North. We did ultimately win the Champions League with them. But that took nearly 25 seasons of game time. I was making videos in that series for getting on for 9 months. It's a big time slog to work with a smaller club if you're looking for that big success, which is why I think Non-League Legends series works so well, because you get a little bit of a taste of everything in it, because you start off with a small club, but because I club hop, I can usually get the whole thing wrapped up in 5-6 months real life. So maybe 18 to 20 seasons in game, which I think is the sweet spot. I think it's very difficult for a new viewer to come into a YouTube series where they can see there's already 200 episodes that have been released on it. It's a bit of a barrier to entry. I like the look of it, but I'm not committing to 200 20-minute long episodes. So I try and limit them to no more than about 30, 40, 50 episodes a club. It then becomes little chapters for each club. And, you know, if you only want to dip into a certain stage of the story, you can be like, right, well, I just want to watch the Kettering portion of this, knowing that it's probably going to be 20 or 30 hours, which is a couple of evenings entertainment. And rather than, right, I need 2 weeks off work to catch up on this YouTube series, because that is mad then.
Well, of course, one of your jobs as manager of Kettering Town is all about motivating players. Now, we have in real life a big game coming up away at Hereford tomorrow as we record this. Is there a message you can give that will inspire the Kettering Town team to get that hard-fought victory tomorrow away at Hereford?
I mean, my what I've been doing with the boys so far, and it seems to be working at this point, is just focusing on playing quick. That seems to be something that's catching the opposition out. I mean, quick defensively, quick attacking, lots of pressing, and taking advantage of having a quick striker up front who you can knock the ball over the top to him and just let him run and let him score goals. So I think my plan going into an away game would be very much that set up so that I mean, we obviously want to be strong defensively. I've got my social media thing in the game. Before every game, this same imaginary fan on the imaginary social media is like, Chapman's got to play Colin. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to, because he's the only goalkeeper that we've got at the club. So I'm obviously going to play him. But you build strong, build from the back, close down quickly. Don't let the opposition have too much time on the ball, and get it forward as quickly as possible. Because as long as the ball is not in our half, we're not under too much danger. What we are struggling a little bit with in game is killing games off, killing teams off. And we're getting a lot of 1-1 draws where we've been 1-0 up and given away a late goal, and we're getting a little bit sloppy with that at the moment, and that's something I'm still working on. So it'll be interesting to see how the boys get on tomorrow, because if they manage to grind out a 1-0 win, we're going to be doing a role reversal, and I'm going to be asking how they did it, because that's the thing I'm struggling with at the moment. We're conceding a lot of late goals, and we need to nip that in the bud. Now,
we're going to get some merch sent over to you. I think a shirt or a scarf, I believe. But what we want to know here on Poppies TV and everyone watching this is, when fans are allowed back into the grounds, which is going to be relatively soon, will you come and see us at Latimer Park?
Absolutely, I will. It's become something of an annual tradition. To the starting club in non-league to legend, I come down and I do a little match day vlog, and I show my subscribers around, and yeah, I absolutely would love that. It's like you say, hopefully it will be in the not too distant future, because fingers crossed we'll be getting fans back inside grounds nice and soon. And I'd love to come along and bring the camera with me and show everybody what it's really like down at Kettering, because we can only put so much together from the stories and the imagination we get in Football Manager. There's nothing quite like going along and seeing the real thing and getting an idea of how good the halftime food is and that kind of stuff.
Well, it will certainly be an experience. My final and most important question, I guess, is, are you going to take Kettering Town from non-league to legend?
I'm going to give it my best shot. Like I say, I'm getting into full manager press conference mode now. I can't make any promises that I will be at Kettering forever, but I can promise that while I'm here, I'm going to do everything I can to grow this club as much as I possibly can, bring it unprecedented, never before seen success for this football club. And if I do end up leaving before Champions League glory, I'll certainly be leaving the club in a better state than I found it. And that's got to be the goal, isn't it? Let's leave it. Leave things better than they were when I arrived. I don't think it's impossible to get the club into the Football League. And once we're there, who knows what happens next.
Well, that's great news, and news that I think every fan is dying to hear. You can join Kevin on his journey at his YouTube channel, which we'll include the link to with this video, either on Twitter or below as a link on YouTube. Kevin, pleasure speaking to you. We wish you all the best and all the success as manager of the Poppies, sort of. And we look forward to seeing you at Latimer Park when we can.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it.